Broadcasting live from SETI Alpha 6 in the Andromeda Galaxy, this is Mr. C.
And here it is, Thursday already. Where did the week go? You note that I have my UND hat on in celebration of photosynthesis and chlorophyll. Speaking of which, I have a pet leaf that's going to visit in just a little bit. He shall return shortly. Okay, so I've got my binos. I love these binos. Anyway, did you have them out last night? I did. And you know what I pointed them to. So I'm just reminding you about your extra credit. I pointed them to Jupiter. And I definitely saw, no doubt about it, two little points of light, one on the right around Jupiter and one on the left, and maybe even a third, but two for sure. Two of Galilean moons. And I got a text from Galileo. He is so proud of me looking at Jupiter so often. And oh, my nose is growing. A Pinocchio. But anyway, he would have texted me if he were on the planet now. So, but anyway, Galileo, boy, I'm a big fan. What a scientist. Scientific method, all of his inventions, all of his discoveries proved that the sun is the center of the solar system. I mean, amazing giant of the Renaissance, Galileo. Hey, now I've got to tell you about in the evening now. In the evening now, there are, for sure, 3 planets available. So you can look at all 3, get a 3-for out of it, get a parent signature, turn it in. So Mars is now available about 8 p.m., maybe 7:30 in the east. And it is as orange as iron oxide. Anyway, you can clearly tell it is the orange planet, even though people call it the red planet. It's orange. So anyway, have a look at those 3. You could look for the Galilean moons for more points. You could use stellarium. You can get up now. This morning on my 6 a.m. walk, I saw Venus. So I'm going to take my hat off and show you high albedo, just reflectivity, and Venus has high albedo too. So way more high albedo than my head, actually. So anyway, Venus is up there in the morning. Now, you could see Mars. I could see Mars at 6 a.m., but it was way in the west now. It's migrated way to the west. So catch Mars in the evening now. So Mars, Saturn, and Jupiter, the ever getting closer planets that are starting to talk to each other about the great conjunction of December 21st. So pretty cool. Coming up, lots to look forward to in science. Okay, now do I have it? I think I do. So, I didn't explain that very well in 7th grade. I've got some chapstick, and have you noticed how cool it is right now? And the chapstick has something to do with how cool it is in the mornings now. Are you kidding me? What? Well, what do you use chapstick for? Have any of you noticed that your lips are pretty dry? I have. Your skin? Why is that? Not much humidity in the air. That's what it is. Okay, and what's going on? Well, the high temperatures are still about 102 or 103. That's a little too hot for me. It needs to cool off. What a hot, like 6 months or 5 months. So, but anyway, I love this time of the year. October and March are my favorite months as far as coolness and weather. They're my favorites. It's warm, but still cool. So, in the morning especially. So anyway, what's causing it? We've got a temperature swing right now of about 35 degrees Fahrenheit. Why? What's the cause of that? Low humidity. How does that work, Mr. C? So you see the chapstick connection, right? Dry air. By the way, what's Arizona's name? Arizona. Dry place, dry zone. Okay, and we're living up to our name right now. So what's happening? Well, at night, first during the day, the sun pours in, and the sun sets, and right away, what starts to happen to the heat? It whooshes into space. What's that? Whooshes up into space, radiates into space. There's not that much to hold on to it. Yeah, the air holds on to quite a bit of the heat. If it didn't hold on to any of the heat, I mean, we'd really drop precipitously. But we're only dropping 35 degrees. And the reason? Because our nights are longer now, so there's more time for the heat to whoosh into space, and there isn't that much moisture in the air to hold on to the heat. The little drops of moisture act like little bitty hands, LBHs, to hold on to the heat. But if there's not that many of them there, then the heat can radiate into space. And it's doing it big time right now. So that's why it's so cool in the morning. Look at the temperatures. So have a look at the temperatures that you see coming up for later in the week. So you can see that we're going to drop down as low as 61, 62 out here in Bunkerland in Mesa. So it's really cooling off in the morning. This morning on my 6 a.m. walk, I almost thought about a long sleeve t-shirt. I'll tell you what, in another week, I'll be wearing a long sleeve t-shirt just because of all of the whooshing going on. Whooshing. So anyway, I love it. I love it. Keep up the whooshing. It's just super. I love it. I love it. Okay. So, got all this stuff, and I got to get this. There we go. Okay. So, the extra credit, I'm just reminding you about the extra credit if you're going for it. Okay. If you're interested in it. So, and then I was going to ask you, when is the coolest time of the night? So on your white sheet, write down what time do you think it's the coolest that it's going to get, that the most amount of whooshing has already occurred. What time? So write down your time. What do you think? Here's what it is. Right now it's about 6 a.m. Are you serious? Yeah. I was thinking like midnight or something. Nope. Around 6 a.m. Why? Because that's the maximum time up to that point that heat has been radiating into space, whooshing into space, right before the sun comes up. Sun's coming up a little after 6:10 or something like that. So later and later. So anyway, coolest time, big temperature swing and all that. Hey, on your white sheet, write down what object in the solar system has a the most temperature swing. The most temperature swing in the solar system. There's two candidates, one more than the other. One of the candidates is Mercury, planet Mercury. Even though Mercury is the inside planet closest to the sun, my Mercury, really close, it's a slow rotator, and it doesn't have any atmosphere. So on the dark side of Mercury, there's a lot of whooshing going on. I think the temperature swing on Mercury might be 700 degrees Fahrenheit. Wow. We've got 35 right now, not that much compared to Mercury. The moon, our moon, is a slow rotator, so it allows for a lot of whooshing, and it has no atmosphere. So on the moon, there's a 540 degree temperature swing. If you were an astronaut going to the moon, you better have a spacesuit that keeps you warm and cool, depending on which side you're on. On the sunny side of the moon, it can get up to 270 degrees Fahrenheit. I had no idea. And on the dark side of the moon, it can drop to minus 270, plus 270, minus 270. There is your tremendous temperature swing right there. Amazing. So now, perfect time for a little quick break. If you have a question for Mr. Gilbert, make it quick. Minute or two, then we got to get rolling. And I'm back. So I really quick want to remind you about the food challenge that I talked to you about, the food challenge. And basically what I'm saying is, the thesis is, the idea, that all the energy in the food we eat, it started on the sun. So I continue to challenge you to think of some food that the energy didn't start in the sun. Let me tell you what I had for lunch. I had a turkey sandwich. I'm just going to talk about the turkey sandwich. I love turkey sandwiches. Okay, I had bread. Comes from dough, which comes from grain, which comes from plants, which got their energy from the sun. So I got the bread traced back to the sun, the energy. Okay, how about the turkey? So I like just a plain turkey sandwich. Sometimes lettuce on it, but that's easy. That's a plant. So, but no lettuce today. So what else did you have? Turkey. Where does turkey come from? Turkeys, bird, what do they eat? Seeds. Seeds come from plants, which trace their energy back to the sun. Then I had a little bit of mustard on my turkey sandwich. I think mustard comes from a mustard plant. I'm going to have to do some looking. I should have looked before. So anyway, keep chasing the food thing. What food can't you trace back to the sun? Keep thinking about it. Keep chasing after it. See if you can think of something. So give it a shot. Okay. Your homework. Here's your homework. I'd like you to write it down. It's up there on the board. I'd like you to spend 5 to 7 minutes memorizing the equation for photosynthesis. So here it is. I'm going to show you a photosynthesis video in a little bit, and you're going to see how amazingly complex the process of photosynthesis is. It could have never happened by accident. Everything was designed. And that's not the half of it. If I showed you the really complex video on the way photosynthesis works, you would immediately have a terrible headache and you wouldn't get over it because your brain would be trying to process everything. It's so difficult to understand. Okay, here is the equation. The equation for photosynthesis. First, you need 3 things to make photosynthesis happen. You need light from the sun. You need carbon dioxide gas. So animals and humans breathe out carbon dioxide gas. Plants breathe it in through their little openings, the stomata that you see in that one microscope. I'll try to get a microscope slide. You can see those little white slits. Those are stomata, the breathing pores. So carbon dioxide and then water. So light plus carbon dioxide plus water yields, that's what the arrow's for, yields or produces oxygen, which goes into the atmosphere, which we breathe. O2 in, CO2 out. And then, what does the green plant make with these ingredients? C6H12O6. What is that? I thought they made sugar. That is sugar. That's glucose. C6H12O6 is glucose, a sugar that they use for energy. Remember, they make their own foods. They're autotrophs. We're heterotrophs. We can't make our own food. We've got to get food from a source of food that it's made from. So anyway, there you have it. The 3 ingredients of photosynthesis: light, carbon dioxide, gas, and water. And all of that's combined to make oxygen gas and glucose, sugar. So pretty cool, huh? Okay, and then I wanted to show this little beauty to you. You look at a green leaf and you go, it is so simple. You just look at it and go, there's nothing to it. It's flat. I know it had to be flat. Why? It's a solar panel. What is one of its jobs besides making glucose? What's another job? It absorbs photons, light particles from the sun. So the flatter it is, the more surface area there is, that's surface area, to catch more photons or light particles. I heard once the number of photons that strike your hand at any one time from the sun. I don't know, it's like 10 to the 10th or something at any 1 second. There's just so many photons. I'll have to fact check that though. Okay, so flat panels, and then inside them, inside these little beauties, you have no idea. There is so many different complex chemicals inside and little organelles that do so many different jobs, have so many functions. This is so complex, just amazing. So I wanted you to show that little guy to you. And this little guy right here, unfortunately, stopped the process of photosynthesis. It had died, and the chlorophyll broke down, and the other colors were there all along, the other pigments, and this one just happened to be brown that's getting reflected to our eyes now. The other colors, Roy G. Biv colors of the spectrum, are being absorbed by the leaf. Okay, so anyway, I wanted you to see that. So your homework again is spend 5 to 7 minutes using LS5 to memorize the equation for photosynthesis. 3 ingredients on this side, 2 products are made on this side. 3 ingredients, light, carbon dioxide gas, and water. The 2 products that are made, oxygen, thank you Lord, saves us, and glucose for the plant, sugar for energy's sake. Okay, so I wanted you to know just from Psalm 139, God designed you not only physically, but He designed your soul, the inner you, the personality. He gave you your personality, and He gave you your GTA, your gifts, talents, and abilities package. He gave it to you using DNA. And one of the cool things that you've got in your GTA package is a desire to figure things out, to learn things. And it's called curiosity. And it's an amazing gift. And my daughter Laura wanted to talk to you about curiosity just for a little bit. Stick a couple of things in your journal about curiosity. I will look for them this weekend when I look at your journal to see how well you've been doing filling it out. Take it away, Laura.
This is Your Magnificent Brain, Learning with Laura. Hi, it's been a couple weeks since we last talked, so I wanted to go over just a little bit what we talked about last time. We talked about reframing your messages to yourself, calling out messages when you have to. Often we have subconscious messages going on in our brain, and they tell us things, and sometimes those things aren't true. So it's important to call those out. I also wanted to remind you that we talked last time about trying and not letting those barriers to act kind of keep us from trying something that might be something that we end up having interest in or end up wanting to learn more about. And that really leads into the idea of following curiosity and following the spark of interest that you have in something. As I was prepping for this lecture, I actually had a call with my sister Lisa in Australia, and she reminded me of when we were growing up. We were big ASU fans, big Sun Devil fans, and especially Sun Devil football. And one year we went to this fan fest thing where you could all come to the stadium and meet the players, interact with them, get autographs and pictures. And there was one player in particular that I just remember every time I think of going back to that moment. I remember interacting with him and how just kind and really caring, open, talking about football with us, funny. We just had a really good kind of back and forth, which was really fun. And that always stuck out to me. This player was a star linebacker who was majoring in marketing. And what's interesting is he ended up going on to play in the NFL. He was drafted 7th by the Arizona Cardinals. Even though at each point in his career, from high school on, everyone told him that he was too small to play football. This person's name was Pat Tillman, and you probably have heard his name. He ended up going on to enlist in the and become an Army Ranger after September 11th. And if you've participated or even heard about Pat's run, that's in honor of his memory. But what I wanted to talk about were some of his words, and he actually has a lot of great things to say as he was going through college and going through his NFL career. And more than just his words, I think it's important that he lived his words, because it is one thing to give good advice, and it's another to live it. So this is what he says about passion and curiosity. Passion is what makes life interesting, what ignites our soul, fuels our love, and carries our friendships. It stimulates our intellect and pushes our limits. A passion for life is contagious and uplifting. And from really watching his life, you could see how the passion he had for what he did was contagious to those around him, was even contagious to himself. Everything that he did had that passion and that curiosity and interest behind him. He was able to shift whenever he needed to, and even giving up a professional football career. And what that really led me to think about was, we don't often check in with ourselves and listen to what it is that interests us, what it is that makes us curious, the spark that makes life worth living for us. Often we don't really necessarily know what that is. We have to go through different things, try them, see what we like. And I would recommend that as you do that, as you go through life, whether you're learning a new sport, a new game, whether you're writing, whether you're learning a new instrument, whether you're thinking about what to do with your career, pay attention. Check in with yourself and really get introspective and tune in to what it is that you find interesting and fascinating about life. Go and explore those things. Read about it. If you're intrigued about going into medicine, read up on that. Actually listen to people who are in the field. See if you can find interviews. If you want to do computer coding, do some classes on that. Explore your interests. And as you do that, follow those things that spark your interest. I know for myself growing up, I always was interested in books. I love books. And I always secretly wanted to write. But I always had a reason why I shouldn't chase after that. I did end up writing professionally, doing lots of communications, doing training manual editing, and doing research papers in educational psychology. But really, after going through all of that, I've recently realized that one of the things I wanted to do was to write a work of fiction. And I'm actually personally working on that right now because it's where my interests lie. And those interests can change over time. Sometimes they match up with where you need to be at a specific point in time. And I'd say that in addition to that, sometimes the things that intimidate you or that make you a little bit afraid to go after, sometimes that's an indicator of that's exactly what you should be trying. Pushing against that fear to see if you could. Not allowing those beliefs of what you can and cannot do limit what's possible. And I really think that leads into, again, rejecting those messages that says that you are too something or you are not enough something to try something. I think often we give in to those potential untruths that we tell ourselves about what we need to be in order to try something. And I would encourage you to just try, step out and see what ends up happening. Follow where that interest is. Follow the things that excite you, because that's really living a life that is tied to curiosity, and that leads to creativity. The next lecture we have, I'll talk more about creativity and how you can basically use what's been done before to do brand new things. But for now, we'll leave it there. I look forward to talking to you again in another week or so, and I hope that the rest of your week goes well. Thank you. Bye.